Hey there, how's it going? So today, the thing that I want to talk about is I want to talk about you focusing on less in order for you to do more. If you happen to be catching this video live, do me a favor, hit pound live, let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you happen to be catching this via the replay, do me a favor, hit pound replay and let me know where you are tuning in from. I truly believe that if you focus on less in the long run, and even in the short run, you'll be able to do more, right? Because sometimes what happens is that we have a lot of clutter and we have a lot of overwhelm, and that's because we're focusing on so many different things and so many different aspects that in some cases we probably shouldn't even be focusing on. Speaking of focus, if you need help with generating more leads and more clients, and that's not your area of expertise, and you could use some help with optimizing and finding out the one thing that you should be focusing on, you can schedule a free marketing optimization call by going to VladimirAdonis.com. All right, so this whole concept of focus on less to do more. Let me share with you a story in an effort to go ahead and illustrate this point that I'm trying to make right now. At some point, I had to fill a position. I was managing, a group of people, and I was managing this department. And one of my goals is that I had to find a person for a role. And in trying to find a person for that role, one of the things that I did is I announced to some of the people that I was working with that, hey, if you come across any students that fits this criteria, there are specific criteria that fits this criteria, please encourage the student to apply for this job because I really want to go ahead and fill that role. It was a role that was related around, it was student specific. So, I announced it, and then a couple of weeks later, someone approached me, and that person said, hey, I found the ideal student for, for that job. The first question I asked this person was, does the student qualify? Because there's certain qualifications that the student has to meet, and if they don't meet the qualification, I cannot move forward with them. So this person shared the student information with me, and when they shared the student information with me, I saw that the student was a straight A student, and the student was meeting and exceeding all of the expectations. So I called this person back and I said, yes, have the student apply. And I say, have the student apply. So then a week later, I'm checking and I'm waiting for the application to come in, and the student hadn't applied. So then a week later, I come across and I run into the exact same person who had told me that they had encouraged the students to apply for the job. And the person asked me, hey, did the student apply for the job? And I said, no, we've had this conversation a week ago. The student had not applied for the job. And I had just been introduced to this person. I said, hey, I'm big on sense of urgency. So the fact that this person waited a week to not apply for the job, it doesn't necessarily tell me that this person wants it. Because in my opinion, if you want the job, you would have applied for it maybe the same day, perhaps. So then this person was like, you know what? No. I feel very strongly about this student. Let me go ahead and call this student and see, see what happened. So I said, okay, no problem. You can go ahead and call the student. So this person go ahead and call, the student. And then this person calls me back to say, hey, the student was running into a couple of different challenges. So I said, okay, I'm willing to hear what is the challenge, because from what I saw that this person was a straight A student. You don't just become a straight A student just to become a straight A student. You have to have initiative, you have to have discipline, and so on and so forth. So those were some of the things that I had liked about at least looking at that person's credential. So then what this individual tells me is that this is this person's first job. They don't have a resume, and because they don't have a resume, that was the thing that was kind of just bogging them down. They didn't necessarily know how to complete a resume, so it took them some time to go and work with other people to try to get the whole resume thing, done, and that's why it took them time to complete the application process. Now, under certain circumstances, I would have said, you know what, they should have gotten it done, no excuses, so on and so forth. But the way that I looked at it is I say I can appreciate the fact that, this prospective employee has certain strength, and they focus on those strengths, and the stuff that they cannot do as well, maybe they outsource it, right? Because sometimes when you try to take on so much and you try to, spread yourself so thin, you don't necessarily make movement and or momentum based on, a few little things. Hey, how's it going from Chicago? So essentially, I tell you this story to say I was perfectly fine with this person taking the time, not showing a sense of urgency, because I know that in order for them to do more, in order for them to be a straight A student, in order for them to achieve certain goals, they have to have a certain level of focus. So now let's bring this into entrepreneurship. There's been quite a few times where I have taken on more projects than I needed to, and for that purpose, you have a whole bunch of mediocre tasks and or mediocre projects that is not necessarily moving, that is not necessarily going forward. In my time, I've done blogging, I've done video content, but to be quite honest with you, I don't necessarily like blogging. Blogging is not something that I like to do. So I stick to video. So I much rather do a video content as opposed to doing blogging. I know how to build funnels. I know how to build funnels for coaching businesses. I know how to build funnels for brick and mortar businesses. I know how to build funnels for e-commerce type businesses. But at one point, I found myself focusing on all of these different funnels for all of these different businesses. And guess what? I wasn't necessarily getting as much momentum as opposed to when I focused and I started to kind of just do less. I don't need to be building 5 or 6 different funnels. In fact, I don't really need to be building any funnels at all. So if I take a look at, 2 different tasks, building a funnel or creating, video content, which one is going to get me much further at the end of the day? Well, building video content is something that's going to get me a lot further because I can get someone else to build the marketing funnel. So the question that I want you to ask yourself is, are you doing, too much? Should you be doing a lot less? Because when you do a lot less, you can end up doing more. I speak to quite a few different individuals that are running or that's trying to run, 5, 6, 7 different businesses, so many different side hustles. I mean, I think one side hustle, if you have a main job, I think one side hustle is fine, but 5 or 6 doesn't allow you to have the necessary focus, and it makes it just that much harder for you to become for you to gain the proper momentum in the one thing. So for that reason, I believe in the concept of doing, less of focusing, because that's going to allow you to gain a lot more traction later down the line. So, do less because it's going to allow you to get just that much further down the line. Pound live if you happen to be catching this video live. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Pound replay if you happen to be catching this replay. Let me know where you are tuning in from. That's it. That's all I have for you today, and I'll talk to you soon.